This story follows Yamazaki Misaki, a 36-year-old woman who deeply regrets the mistakes of her previous life. She reflects on the people who cared for her and those closest to her heart. Memories return of the day she was diagnosed with cancer and how treatment left her unable to have children. She realizes she had lived as a quiet otaku, distant from love and used to solitude. At the time, the diagnosis did not shake her deeply, yet she secretly wished that if she ever lived again, she would become a mother. In her second life, she awakens as Isabel Dora Salmons, a 17-year-old noble girl in a European fantasy world. She belongs to a noble family as the eldest daughter. Maids attend to her and style her hair. As she observes herself, she realizes she now possesses knowledge and memories beyond what Yamazaki once knew. The awareness settles in that she has truly been reborn in another world. At breakfast, her father notices her unusual cheerfulness and asks if she is ready for her wedding the next day. She is startled to remember only one day remains. Internally, she senses her family's financial collapse and emotional turmoil, yet outwardly calm prevails. She recalls her future husband as a neighboring duke, wealthy, generous, and older, with one child from before. Though the match would trouble a normal 17-year-old, she understands her bankrupt family views this marriage as salvation. She realizes her wardrobe consists of only two worn dresses. Their furniture is old and they employ only one maid, who also cooks and manages the household. Her previous engagement once failed due to dowry costs. Now she feels relieved that her fiancé is not a young boy but a mature man. She understands why the former Isabel resented this marriage, as it represents a political union rather than romance. Yet in her current mindset, the arrangement feels practical rather than cruel. She reassures her father that he has chosen the best possible match. Tears fill his eyes as he realizes she has matured. Her younger sister reacts with shock, suspecting her mind has changed unnaturally. Others begin to feel she has finally become normal. Isabel recognizes she was once overly sheltered and notices her striking beauty, with deep violet hair, golden eyes, pale glowing skin, and an aura that gives her a villain-like presence. The Duke's driver arrives to escort her. The familiarity of his face triggers a realization that this world mirrors a webcomic she once read in the hospital. The story centers on Noah Combly Divine and his father, Theobald Alois Divine. In the original plot, Noah suffers under his cruel stepmother after his real mother's death, while his father remains indifferent. Noah grows emotionally cold, goes to war at 16, meets Florence, softens over time, and ultimately defeats his stepmother and a corrupt crown prince who serves a demon. Isabel realizes that in the original story, the villainous stepmother who dies is meant to be her. She refuses to repeat such cruelty, especially toward a child. She considers the possibility of fate forcing her down that tragic path, and resolves that if destiny turns against her, she would flee rather than harm Noah. At the wedding, rings are exchanged. Theobald Alois Divine places the ring on her hand with emotional distance, matching his reputation of coldness toward women. Isabel senses they barely know each other. After escorting her to his estate, he leaves immediately without introducing her to the family. Walt, the chief steward, apologizes and explains the Lord's constant busyness. He formally introduces her as the new lady of the estate. She feels the Duke's absence is oddly reassuring, knowing he already has an heir and likely will not force intimacy upon her. She recalls he was not directly responsible for her death in the original timeline. As the new lady, she takes responsibility for managing the household, introducing herself to the staff with composed authority. She recognizes that any sign of weakness could lead to disrespect, especially given her husband's detached attitude. A disturbance arises when a maid tries to stop Noah from entering. Isabel sees him and realizes he is the key figure tied to her future fate. Upon meeting him, she is stunned by his angelic innocence. He is far younger than the timeline of the original story, still a small child. She cannot comprehend how the original Isabel could harm such a child, and vows to win his trust. Walt angrily demands Noah be taken away. Isabel calmly confirms he is Theobald's son, and decides she must greet him properly. Though the chief hesitates, she reassures him that she is accustomed to caring for children due to her poor upbringing. She introduces herself warmly to Noah and asks his age. He remains silent. The maid explains he recently turned 3 and has not started speaking yet. Isabel is surprised. The maid clarifies she is only a caretaker recently assigned to him because his previous nurse died in a carriage accident. Isabel expresses condolences and worries about his care without a nurse. The chief admits they are searching for one, but the Lord's absence delays decisions. Seeing the situation, Isabel senses that the house feels neglected and emotionally empty. She informs the chief that she will now live there and assures him that everything will be handled. She seriously asks whether her husband shows any interest in Noah. The chief confirms that he does not. He explains that servants cannot hire a nurse without the master's approval, so they assigned a maid to care for Noah as a last resort. Isabel realizes Noah has been isolated for a month, likely delaying his speech. She asks how the nurse treated him. The chief explains that the nurse only provided basic care and kept Noah confined to his room. If the Lord heard Noah making noise, there was a risk of provoking his anger. After hearing this, she understands that Noah had very little social interaction. Restricting conversation and limiting noise likely slowed his speech. She recognizes loneliness as the main cause since children need connection to develop language. It does not feel like deliberate cruelty to her, but she acknowledges that the servants did their best under difficult circumstances. Feeling responsible as the estate's lady, she resolves to act, even if she is only seen as a symbolic trophy wife. She knows acting recklessly could cause conflict. She gently calls Noah to her and hugs him with warmth. She believes that if adults do not protect children, no one will. She creates a picture-based storytelling method inspired by her past life, since illustrated children's books do not exist in this world. Noah reacts with visible excitement, amazed by the drawings. Isabel recognizes this world lacks child-friendly storytelling, but she refuses to give up. She adapts stories from a manga she once loved, reshaping them into tales of dragons, magic, jewels, and adventure. She observes Noah's reactions closely, wondering how much a 3-year-old can understand. He happily spends time with her while she continues drawing and storytelling. Over time, he becomes engaged and happy, listening to her stories while she continues illustrating scenes for him. After a long session of play and storytelling, Isabel realizes she has become so immersed that she even hums background music unconsciously, embracing her otaku nature once more. The maid praises Noah's improvement, noting he has begun learning words and responding emotionally to the stories. Encouraged, Isabel agrees to repeat the stories. Suddenly, Noah begins speaking small, broken words. Shock and joy fill the room. Tears gather in Isabel's eyes as she hears his first attempts at speech. She promises herself she will teach him with all her love and protect his future. With renewed determination, she continues his lessons, fully committed to changing fate without repeating the tragedy of the original story. After everything settles, Isabel brings a collection of toys for Noah. He stares at them in amazement. She explains that they are called building blocks. Seeing his fascination, she realizes that this world lacks toys and everyday items designed for children. Small hands have almost nothing made for them. She understands that what he needs most is learning through play. She decides to start with the building blocks. A stable boy cuts wood into different shapes for her. She carefully removes all splinters, smooths the edges, and paints them. When she tries to cut the wood herself, everyone stops her. She asks Noah what he wants to build. He looks confused. Isabel senses he does not yet understand how to use the blocks. She teaches him and demonstrates by building a castle. Then she lets him try, and he begins constructing his own castle. Watching him, Isabel feels a quiet satisfaction. She notices that the picture stories she made him recently may have helped him start speaking more. Everything unfolds smoothly. He explores with curiosity and absorbs new words like a sponge. He is truly intelligent, exactly as any loving mother would recognize in her child. He never sulks, never throws tantrums. Essentially, he is an angel. She cannot understand why her husband dislikes having him nearby. She recalls trying to persuade her husband to speak to Noah more, but he refused, saying there was no need to talk about that thing. Isabel reminds him that the child has a name. That night, she realizes she has hugged her pillow all day, sensing her husband's complete indifference. Weeks have passed since her marriage. Aside from the bond with Noah, everything is calm. Initially, she feared her involvement might irritate her husband, but she understands now that her worries were pointless. He does not talk to her, does not share meals, and avoids her whenever possible. Their contact is limited to fleeting glimpses. The staff, whom she once thought might look down on her as a poor wife, ignored by their lord, treat her kindly. They provide 3 full meals a day, clothes and jewelry without her asking. She learns she has her own budget to manage. Everything feels like paradise. She silently agrees with the saying that a husband is best when he is healthy and out of the house. One day, while Noah naps and the Duke remains indoors, Isabel looks out the window. The Duchy of Divine spreads before her. Colorful buildings line the streets. The market is filled with bright food and charming everyday goods. The view feels unreal. It feels like stepping into a fairy tale. She dresses beautifully before leaving. Her maid beams with happiness but reminds her that they have already passed the clothing and jewelry shops. Isabel calmly explains that today's destination is the builder's workshop. The maids are stunned. They assume she plans to build a villa. Isabel dismisses the idea and explains that she simply wants something made. As her carriage moves through town, people stop and stare. They recognize her as the Duke's wife. Whispers spread quickly. The townspeople express gratitude for the Duke's rule and ask her to pass on their thanks. Isabel listens quietly. She notes the contrast between their gratitude and how the Duke treats her and Noah. At the workshop, the shopkeeper reacts with visible shock. He cannot believe a noble lady has arrived. Just then, the shop owner appears and speaks roughly, questioning her presence. Isabel remains calm. She explains that she has come to place an order, showing him drawings of toy blocks and explaining that they are toys for children. He dismisses the work as trivial and says he has no time. She assures him that the rainy season approaches, making outdoor work slippery and dangerous, and humidity affects quality. She offers fair payment. He realizes she is the Duke's new wife. He repeats rumors about her being spoiled and arrogant. He claims commoners will not bow for coins. He insists he has his own steady rainy season work and refuses to chase noble whims. Isabel responds firmly. She says that judging people by rumors is rude. She admits her mistake in bringing business without prior notice and apologizes sincerely. She asks again if he is truly busy during the rainy season. She explains that she reviewed industry reports beforehand, which show that workshops struggle at that time. He admits she is correct. He explains that making a few items is only a temporary fix. She proposes something bigger. She suggests opening a children's goods shop. She explains that it would require large stock and provide steady work if successful. He hesitates. He does not want to be controlled by noble moods. Isabel notices his resentment toward nobles. She advises him to profit from them instead. She promises to handle the basic setup herself. With House Divine's backing, nobles will naturally become customers. The work will be well paid. He admits he has never seen children's toys like this. Isabel explains that this is exactly why they should make them. Many nobles in the territory have money to spare. Parents and grandparents will not hesitate to spoil their children. Demand will come. Entering before demand is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. He asks why she chose his workshop. She explains that she saw a sketch of his furniture in the reports. The lines were soft and gentle. She felt his craftsmanship would suit children perfectly. She admits she wanted to make them herself, but found it too difficult. Her maid adds that Isabel would gladly use a saw herself if not stopped. The owner, impressed, recognizes her as the new duchess. Isabel understands that even ordinary people are aware of the neighboring region's poverty and harsh living conditions. The deal no longer sounds bad to him. He agrees, on the condition that she runs the shop herself. When she returns home, the caretaker praises the idea of a children's goods shop. She believes the picture story shows and blocks will succeed. Isabel worries about her husband's reaction. The caretaker reassures her that staying within budget will cause no trouble. Staff arrangements can be handled by the head steward. Isabel still doubts herself. She has never run a business. Starting a shop from scratch feels overwhelming. At that moment, Noah proudly shows her something he made, a small boat made from blocks. He speaks clearly as he presents it. Isabel's eyes fill with joy. She praises him and hugs him tightly. She realizes something important. If she truly tries her best, she can open many more possibilities for this child. She promises herself that she will do everything she can. After all this, Isabel immersed herself in the library. As she studies the strange plants and creatures recorded in the books, she feels validated in her earlier assumption. Since this is another world, unusual life forms are bound to exist. She commits this knowledge to memory for future reference. She learns that monsters do exist, though the most commonly seen creatures are slimes. Unlike dangerous acid-spitting beasts, these slimes are harmless and even helpful, consuming waste and keeping the environment clean. Observing this, she feels the world is surprisingly practical despite its fantastical nature. After searching for a long time without finding useful information, she realizes she must work with different materials. Suddenly, she notices a discarded wooden board. Confused about how it ended up there, she later runs excitedly toward Noah to share something interesting. Watching him play with the toy blocks, the caretaker tells Isabel that he has become obsessed with them. Once he starts playing, he becomes completely absorbed and barely responds when called. Isabel notices it is almost time to go out, yet he refuses to move. This concerns her, as she fears the Duke's heir may become confined indoors. She understands sunlight is essential for good health and tries to persuade Noah to go outside. He stubbornly insists on continuing to play. Seeing his innocent expression weakens her resolve, but she decides she must get him outside. She suggests showing him the special move of a picture book hero. She instructs him to sense the magic inside his body. Warmth forms near his abdomen and slowly spreads throughout him. She guides him to feel his head, fingertips, and toes. She tells him to imagine gathering the warmth into his hands until it forms a small glowing sphere. She gently holds it between her palms and throws it toward a tree. Noah and the caretaker watch in shock, impressed by her skill. She feels proud, realizing this is not attack magic, but simple, everyday magic that causes no harm. Reflecting on the world, she understands it is one of swords and magic. Nobles and some commoners can use magic after undergoing a blessing ritual, though most only access basic spells. High nobles possess stronger abilities, while the emperor and the head of House Divine stand above all due to their legendary origins. It is said the first emperor received the blessing of the fire god, while House Divine traces its power to the wind and water gods. However, the current emperor lacks exceptional magic, which fuels rivalry with the Duke of Divine. Comparing herself, she realizes she is merely an ordinary noble capable only of basic magic. She recalls how uncontrollable her magic was the first time she used it. Noah insists on trying magic as well. Isabel realizes he has not undergone the blessing ritual, so he should not be able to use it. Yet, when he imitates her, his hands begin to warm. She senses that he memorized the steps after hearing them only once. She reassures him that learning control without real magic is harmless, and they practice together. Meanwhile, the Duke sits in his room, irritated by the noise. Walt informs him that the madam is playing with Noah. The Duke reacts coldly, but Walt reminds him that this is normal, and urges him to take his marriage more seriously. He emphasizes that she genuinely loves Noah and is nothing like the rumors suggest. The Duke, however, remains convinced that she is hiding ulterior motives, believing women to be greedy and driven by desire. Walt falls silent. Isabel relaxes during a massage and reflects on her husband's lack of trust. She wonders if it stems from her spending so much time with Noah. She acknowledges how exhausting children can be. Her beauty attendants promise to protect her appearance, which lightly amuses her. She plans the next steps for Noah's shop, feeling that once she decides, everything moves forward smoothly. She tells Walt about children's picture books. He agrees to contact skilled artists and playwrights. Soon, through the chief's connections, they secure plans for illustrated books and commission puzzles, and toy prototypes from a workshop. The workers enjoy testing the toys and experiment with many prototypes. They consult Isabel about whether the products will succeed. The results exceed her expectations, and she knows Noah's reaction will be positive. The merchants agree to produce more blocks, making her feel secure about the project. Still, she believes a children's shop needs more than toys, such as safe tableware. She realizes that ordinary utensils in this world are unsuitable for children, and begins searching for lighter, more durable materials. In the library, she finds promising information about a troublesome plant spreading uncontrollably across certain lands. She immediately writes a letter to her family. Nearly 2 weeks pass without a reply, making her wonder if they are too busy to respond. While lost in thought, her maid informs her that a message has finally arrived and that her brother Oliver has come in person. Shocked, she rushes outside and asks why he arrived without warning, fearing something terrible has happened. Oliver questions her about her activities, causing her to suspect the message concerns the material she requested. He seriously asks how it was obtained. He warns her that the substance is dangerous and could even cost her life. With grave concern, Oliver asks how she managed to discover such a perilous material. Oliver assures her that such materials could be life-threatening. At that moment, Duke Divine meets Oliver. Noting the long journey from the neighboring lands, he acknowledges how exhausting it must have been and encourages Isabel to feel at home. Isabel realizes that at least basic manners and greetings are properly observed. Inside, Oliver apologizes for losing her composure earlier and confirms that the material mentioned in her letter has been successfully obtained. She shows Isabel the substance, explaining that at first glance it resembles pure white porcelain. As Isabel touches it, she feels that it is solid yet light. Oliver explains that it is made from the sap of the Pablo tree, which grows abundantly throughout the Simons lands. The tree produces so much resin that its wood is unusable, and any attempt to craft it results in an unpleasant taste. It has no medicinal properties, making it essentially a useless tree. Yet it is strong, grows quickly, and spreads like bamboo. Oliver notes that Pablo trees are overtaking the forests, causing concern among the locals. He brought the tree's sap for her to examine. Seeing it, Isabel recalls the haphazard notes she found on the library board. Oliver explains that the resin must be cooled until it solidifies. Isabel realizes that once cooled, it becomes hard, white, light, and resistant to breaking. She touches it, briefly hesitant, but Oliver reassures her that it will not crack easily. She is deeply impressed and envisions using the material to make children's tableware. Oliver warns that the material is extraordinarily refined, having been tested under weight, pressure, shocks, and prolonged use without showing any defects. Isabel realizes that this is a flawless new substance, capable of forming the foundation of a central industry. She fully grasps the value it holds. Oliver stresses the danger if the knowledge spreads. If the Crown discovers it, they could seize control, claim their lands, and confiscate all assets. Even the weak Simmons family would be powerless. Isabel concludes that by selling only finished products and limiting production to Simmons locals, secrecy can be maintained. Oliver confirms this, adding that any suspicious purchases would naturally reveal the material's quality over time. Isabel's maid points out that the Simmons estate lacks the resources for other work. The gardeners and cooks already shoulder multiple responsibilities, and the family cannot afford additional staff. She advises consulting Duke Divine, noting that if the matter involves him, even the Emperor could not easily intervene. Isabel recognizes the wisdom in this. She reflects on the kingdom's division into three factions: the Emperors, Duke Divines, and neutral lands. The Duke's faction wields the most power, controlling military matters and acting as a counterbalance to the Emperor. Yet even relying on the Duke's strength, she doubts the Emperor could prevail. She decides not to voice this aloud. Oliver notices this and considers asking for the plan, but Isabel changes the subject. Just then, Noha arrives. The caretaker excuses him, but Isabel calls him over happily. Noha approaches Oliver, attempting polite greetings. Isabel observes his careful effort and feels a deep affection. She embraces him joyfully. Oliver watches, surprised by her natural maternal warmth. He admits that when he first received the letter, he wondered what was happening. He asks where she learned about the Pablo tree. Isabel hands him the wooden board from the library, noting it appears at least 100 years old. The head butler believes an old gardener left it, though no one knows for certain. Made by a commoner, wood was used instead of paper, which was expensive. Oliver understands why it was preserved. The illustration is highly detailed and the handwriting nearly unreadable, surprising him when he tried to read it. Isabel calmly explains that she did it for Noah. Observing their bond, Oliver realizes she has adapted far better than expected. He admits he thought she would return home quickly. Isabel reacts in quiet disbelief. He expresses relief at seeing her so soft-hearted and apologizes for her earlier concerns about the Duke. He explains that her noble marriage occurred late in life, after the previous Duchess gave birth to the young lord and then passed away. Such circumstances often spark rumors. He reminds her of the importance of learning basic manners. Isabel smiles, understanding. Oliver notes that rumors about her previous noble marriage being arranged by the Emperor are plausible. He explains that House Divine is a central pillar of the nation, and without an heir, the family line could have been endangered. Isabel sees that the manga she read reflects similar political realities, showing the complexities of the imperial court and its strained relationships. The caretaker adds that the Duke is serious and dedicated to his work, something often remarked upon. Observing all this, Isabel senses the Duke's discomfort around women and sees how past events have influenced him. She realizes this may be why she was chosen as his second wife. She understands that there is potential for communication, though the likelihood of being dismissed at the door remains. She notes that her husband is genuinely grateful for her presence and feels relief that the household staff is sincerely devoted. She decides to speak directly to him. The news reaches the Duke through the chief, who reports that the madam wishes to consult him. The Duke, practical and straightforward, says he is busy. Assuming she has already spent her allowance as the rumors suggest, he grows slightly irritated. Walt corrects him, explaining that she has barely used her budget, with the only expenses being toys for Noah. When told she wishes to clarify her position, he finds it troublesome, but recalling his promise to Earl Simmons allows her in. Isabel enters, apologizing for disturbing him. He dismisses formalities and instructs her to state her business. He tells her seriously to drop formalities and state her purpose quickly. Isabel responds calmly, noting that some might prefer such a conversation in private. She reassures him that she has no objection to speaking openly. He assures her that it is not an issue. Walt has served him for years, and there is nothing here he does not already know. Encouraged, Isabel speaks directly. She explains plainly that she wants to know why he hates women. He reacts sharply, assuming she is complaining about his behavior. Isabel immediately denies this. She explains that she has not come seeking care or consideration. She views herself as a shield, keeping women away in public, acting as a servant placed to fulfill the role of a wife. She is fully aware of her position. She continues, reflecting that she has long considered this marriage and finds it offers her personal security. She will wear fine clothes without worry and never again fear hunger or cold. Her family is relieved to be freed from the burden of supporting a young woman who added nothing but strain. In contrast, she sees no clear benefit for him in this arrangement. The Duke listens with careful attention and asks her to clarify her point. She explains that she has heard his first marriage occurred under royal command. She admits it is speculation but notes that something must have gone badly. He grows angry, but she reassures him that she understands his harshness without seeking details. She reflects that a man who avoided marriage for so long eventually remarried. After the first Duchess's death, the position of a second wife inevitably became a battlefield of schemes and ambitions. She emphasizes that if he only needed a trustworthy partner, a daughter from a loyal divine faction would have sufficed. Choosing one faction over another would create tension. A man who hates women could never favor any wife, and every choice could weaken his faction's position. She explains that House Simmons is too poor to influence anyone, and their lands are worthless. No one desires them, and their inclusion offers no advantage. Others recognize this as well. To him, they are neither allies nor enemies. She warns that now, with the marriage completed, whispers against her are inevitable. She quickly denies any intention of threatening him. She only wishes him to understand the risks. She swears she will never betray him, will desire no physical intimacy, and will play the perfect duchess in public. She offers to seal her promise with a magical contract. Walt is shocked and tries to intervene. Isabel assures him she fully understands the consequences. A magical contract cannot be broken without death. She stresses her seriousness and says she only wishes to prove her sincerity. The Duke considers her words and asks what she wants in return. She answers plainly that she wants protection for her family and for House Salmon's lands. He initially assumes she seeks financial help. She immediately denies it, clarifying that she only wants protection from human threats. He is surprised and asks if something has already occurred. She assures him that nothing has, sensing that he is more sincere than she imagined. He realizes that her insight is sharp. She presents him with the material Oliver provided. It is a resin that becomes nearly indestructible once hardened. Her brother tested it extensively. It did not break. The Duke tries with all his strength. It does not budge. Cold magic erupts. Isabel realizes the true danger of ice magic. A blast erupts, yet the material remains unharmed. The Duke strikes it with his sword, but it does not break. He acknowledges that she is correct. She explains that its value depends on use. She intends to make tableware for children. It is light, strong, and will not break, even if dropped. Many parents mourn shattered expensive dishes, making these ideal for sale. The Duke is surprised. Walt adds that she plans to open a children's goods store. Isabel apologizes for moving forward without permission. He assures her that reporting every detail is unnecessary. He orders Walt to bring the property documents. Reviewing the files, Isabel sees that the Duke already identified a location. It is vacant. Every previous business failed, becoming a burden. He asks how she intends to manage it. She senses he is testing her. She examines the records. Previous shops sold clothing accessories, perfume, handbags, and shoes. Initially, customers came, but when shops moved there, they vanished. Returning shops regained customers. Rumors labeled the property cursed, though the problem was access. The location cannot accommodate carriages. Traffic is heavy. The nearest parking is a walk away. Shops catered to noble women in heavy dresses and high heels, who dislike walking when alternatives exist. She proposes converting the rear courtyard into parking. The path is wide. Neighboring buildings also have courtyards. If combined, all three could form a large parking space. Vehicles need turning room. A single courtyard fits 4, but combined space allows many. Free choice benefits all shops. Customers entering from the rear will find it convenient. The courtyard will be redesigned as a proper noble entrance, removing the back alley feel. She will secure the lease and reduce rent as low as possible. She believes half rent is achievable, even with prior failures. A 30% reduction may be possible if the real issue is understood. The Duke presses his head in astonishment. Isabel freezes, unsure if she overstepped. He instead looks impressed and accepts her terms. Her eyes widened. Later, Walt asks if he is certain. The Duke explains that if this material is used as a weapon, it could shift the balance of power. This aligns with the Emperor's goals, which is why she proposed the magical contract. Walt observes that Isabel is far sharper than expected. The Duke realizes this is no trivial matter and wonders who ever called her selfish, flashy, foolish, or shallow. As Isabel oversees the preparation of children's tableware from the new material, the Duke senses its quality without closely examining it. The pieces appear heavy but feel far lighter than expected. Oliver explains that special care was taken to make the items easy for children to hold. The cutlery handles are thicker, and the cups have double handles for a better grip. Watching this, Isabel realizes how remarkably well things have progressed just months after discovering the material. A major reason for this success is her husband. After the magical contract, he raises concerns she had never anticipated, asking about her production system. She admits she has not planned that far ahead and wants to ensure the matter remains confidential. For that reason, she intends to manage everything through House Simmons. He reassures her that he will arrange production facilities and provide trustworthy people. In return, he asks for a share of the sales rights. Isabel reacts with clear surprise. The material is still new and the proposal feels sudden. He remains firm and composed, stating that the project is worth the investment. He emphasizes that this is not only about the material, but about finding use for plants and trees that were previously discarded. Isabel acknowledges this truth. Disposing of them had only added to their expenses. When profit distribution is discussed, a 70-30 split is proposed. Isabel requests an 80-20 division in their favor. Observing his stance, she realizes how sharp and decisive he is with finances. His competence feels far beyond ordinary. At the same time, she notices Lord Theobald presenting reports before the capitalists. She still feels astonished that they have been allowed to sit there. Oliver reminds him that all ideas for toys, picture books, children's tableware, and illustrations originated from his sister. He emphasizes how user-friendly the products are, citing Noah as an example. The Duke listens intently, his mind clearly turning over the details. Isabel notices a faint pallor in his eyes, a subtle sign that fatigue is beginning to catch up with him. Oliver then tells him that even the glass he is holding is made from the new material. The Duke reacts with visible shock. Oliver explains that when the sap of the Pablo tree is heated, it hardens into a transparent form. He emphasizes that this idea also came from Isabel's sister. Isabel steps back from the credit, insisting that she did nothing significant. She clarifies that all of it is the result of Oliver and the team's hard work. As the siblings continue discussing the project, the Duke raises the issue of waste disposal. Oliver calmly reassures him that it is not a problem. The slimes handle and eliminate all waste, enabling extremely fine coatings and detailed work. The Duke is genuinely amazed at how much has been achieved in such a short time. Oliver credits his patronage and, above all, Isabel's endless ideas. She adds that since her marriage, Isabel has continued to grow and refine herself. His only regret is the academy, which prevents him from witnessing everything firsthand. Isabel then informs them that the soft launch of her shop is scheduled for the next day. All designs, decorations, and preparations are complete. She feels deep happiness at finally reaching this point. She thanks the craftsmen and artists, acknowledging their incredible effort. She makes it clear that this product line exists only because of them. She then entrusts everything to the shop staff. The next day, she welcomes her guests to the toy treasures chest. She assures them that once inside, the ceiling and walls resemble a clear blue sky. Shelves line the stairways, displaying illustrated storybooks and puzzles like an art exhibition. Three-dimensional puzzles and blocks are arranged neatly in boxes on the shelves. The beauty of the space leaves everyone stunned and deeply impressed. The guests browse with growing interest. The staff encourage them to try the items freely. Some hesitate, fearing they might break something. Isabel understands that the first step is always the hardest. She reassures them through action by encouraging Noah. He begins building with the blocks, astonishing everyone. Then he starts reading the picture books, drawing others to join him. Watching Noah, Isabel recalls that she carefully asked her husband for permission before bringing him to the shop. He simply told her to do as she pleased. She briefly reflects on the risk of bringing their only precious heir to a shop opening. She steadies herself, confident that all safety measures are in place. Trusted attendants remain on constant watch, and every guest has arrived by invitation and proper screening. She then turns her thoughts to the next stage and invites the guests to enjoy tea while they wait. The glass walls immediately draw attention. People realize they have never seen glass like this before. It clearly meets ducal standards. Isabel explains that the glass is also made from the new material. Parents can sit comfortably while watching their children through it. They feel impressed and relieved. Conversations flow easily as everyone enjoys a rare moment of calm. Suddenly, one child runs over in tears and her mother panics. The child accidentally spills tea, freezing the parents in shock. The attendants calmly reassure them. The tableware is made from the new material, so even a fall leaves no scratches. They also explain that these items are available in the tableware section. The parents are impressed and begin considering purchases. Observing everything, Isabel feels deep peace. Seeing Noah so happy fills her with quiet joy. As evening falls, she thanks everyone for coming and announces that the grand opening will be next week. The guests express excitement and promise to return. Afterward, Isabel praises the staff for their hard work. Noticing empty shelves, she sees the need for more stockroom help. She learns the old back door now serves as a VIP entrance. A shared carriage yard spans 3 properties with marked arrows guiding traffic. Space is fully optimized, maximizing parking. People agree the building is a smart choice. Isabel slowly realizes that, thanks to her husband, the rent is extremely low for the same property tested earlier. A few days after signing the magical contract, a document arrives allowing major renovations, including the back garden. The carriage issue is fully resolved, and the rent is only a fraction of the original price. She is told to sign if the terms are acceptable, as instructed by His Grace. Isabel feels overwhelmed, never expecting such support. She is informed that it may seem presumptuous, but His Grace truly believes in the new material and her business. The gesture means more than words of love, filling her with warmth and happiness. At that moment, Noah wakes and runs to her. Isabel senses how tiring the day has been for him. He excitedly tells her how much fun he had and says he loves her. Her eyes fill with emotion as she embraces him. Nothing feels more rewarding than this. A servant arrives with the final sales numbers. The results surpass all expectations and nearly all stock is sold. Isabel stands stunned. When Emperor Nerodias of the Granish Empire hears the news, he reacts with shock and fury. He learns that a new material has emerged in Simmons' territory. His subordinates report that the production process is kept secret. Nerodias orders the seizure of the technology and the lands. He declares that Count Simmons should be promoted to Margrave, ensuring no opposition. His advisors urge patience, but Nerodias grows even angrier. He believes the divine Duke House is clearly backing them, and curses them for blocking his path once again. His subordinates calmly advise restraint and assure him there is no need to rush. Watching Noah play with his toys fills everyone with warmth. Isabel briefly wishes she had a smartphone to capture the moment. She then informs her companions that, for record purposes, they are developing a new product. Thanks to everyone's combined efforts, Toy Treasure Chest has successfully reached its grand opening. The team reports that most customers were boys, though many girls also visited. This makes Isabel reflect. The shop already offers puzzles and cute picture books for girls, yet something still feels lacking. She realizes she needs items that appeal more deeply to girls' sense of cuteness. Regretfully, she admits she had focused so much on keeping Noah happy that she overlooked this. She recalls that the first child to lose interest that day was a little girl. While the store is doing well, she strongly wants girls to love it just as much. Meanwhile, Noah's caretaker considers what naturally appeals to girls. She notes that young noble girls enjoy dressing up and suggests clothing or jewelry. Isabel immediately realizes this would put them in direct competition with dress shops and jewelers, which is not ideal. A sudden spark of inspiration strikes her. She imagines a teddy bear that children can dress however they like, a customizable dress-up teddy available in multiple colors. She explains that the plush bodies will be produced at the orphanage, while dress shops will collaborate to create outfits. This avoids interfering with existing businesses and could eventually grow into a high-end brand. She also envisions outfits inspired by popular picture book characters, allowing children to dress up their toys and enjoy imaginative play. The creative possibilities feel limitless. Meanwhile, another delivery arrives. Isabel realizes how timely and valuable it is, as their stock was nearly depleted. She expresses her gratitude, noting that the shipment was originally planned only for the rainy season. The supplier reassures her that they are the ones who should be thankful. Many skilled workers under their care can no longer work on site due to injuries or disabilities, and this workplace gives them dignity, stability, and a renewed sense of purpose. Soon after, illustrator Arnold is introduced. He expresses sincere appreciation. He presents new designs that leave Isabel genuinely impressed. He explains that even a single sheet of quality paper is far beyond what ordinary people can afford. When artists manage to obtain supplies, they are often secondhand and nearly unusable. Without a patron, earning a living through art remains nothing more than a distant dream. He tells Isabel that her support has given them funding, materials, and steady work, allowing them to survive until their talent alone can sustain them. He expresses deep gratitude and admits that living through art feels like a dream come true. He even confesses that sleep sometimes feels like wasted time due to his dedication. He then shows her the picture book he is currently working on. It is inspired by her story of the future pirate king, but his version tells the tale of a bandit king. Isabel feels it is more of a reinterpretation than a copy, yet she recognizes its high quality. She reflects that even with the same ideas, the outcome depends on the creator. She sincerely credits the team's hard work for the shop's success. Her praise lifts their spirits. They feel encouraged and appreciated, realizing she has a natural gift for motivating others. They thank her for including them in her vision and promise their continued support. Isabel humbly admits that her original goal was simply to make Noah happy. They reassure her that they already knew. Later, Noah sleeps peacefully, leaving Isabel calm and fulfilled. She heads to her room to brainstorm new product ideas, considering that limited editions could also appeal. Her attention falls on a piano, its sound refined and properly tuned. Memories of her childhood surface, her mother teaching her to play, the piano falling out of tune after her mother's passing, and her eventual pause from playing due to lack of resources. She decides it would not hurt to play a little. She begins to play, and the music flows with emotion. The melody evokes thrilling secrets, magical wonder, love, and dreams. She sings with heartfelt passion. Unnoticed at first, Walt listens quietly. The song, inspired by a legendary manga and anime opening, carries a melody he has never heard before. Isabel feels embarrassed, realizing she played without permission, and a wave of guilt washes over her. Walt gently reassures her that everything in the house is hers to use as she wishes. She then wonders why such a refined instrument is kept in a small room instead of a grand salon where musicians usually perform. He explains that the piano belonged to the previous duchess, who brought it when she married into the household. He tunes it occasionally as a hobby, and no one else touches it. Isabel realizes that this piano once belonged to Noah's real mother. This realization triggers memories of the original manga plot, where the stepmother plays the late mother's keepsake without permission, leading to tragic consequences. Isabel feels alarmed, realizing she had forgotten this entirely while being distracted by Noah's charm. She hurriedly looks for a cloth, fearing that playing the piano might be seen as disrespectful. Walt reassures her, explaining that Noah would likely be happy. He believes Noah cares deeply for her, and that hearing his birth mother's keepsake played by his foster mother, while creating warm new memories together, would bring him joy. Isabel feels deeply moved. She realizes that the thought itself fills her with happiness. Imagining a genuine bond with Noah as his true mother warms her heart. She reflects on Noah's kindness and near-perfect nature, which only deepens her confusion. She wonders why the manga's version of Isabel hated him so intensely. She also struggles to understand her husband's emotional distance, as he does not seem cruel or unworthy. Thinking further, she realizes the manga rarely depicted moments between Isabel and her husband together. Suddenly, a servant arrives to inform her that the Duke is calling for her. When she meets him, he explains that a troubling situation has arisen for both of them. An invitation has arrived from the imperial palace, sent directly by the emperor, requesting their attendance at a royal party. After the events, Noah searches for his mother. His caretaker informs him that she is attending a royal event at the palace. Upon arrival, Isabel immediately recognizes the connection to the day of the emperor's sudden summons. She recalls the rush to prepare her attire and feels elevated, knowing that whatever she wears appears distinguished. She endures her husband's quiet, pressing presence during the long journey to the capital, and now stands fully aware in the present moment. Guests greet the Duke's new wife warmly, noting her youth and beauty. Rumors circulate that she is selfish, superficial, and unusually free-spirited with men. Some assume she sold herself to survive, given her humble background as Count Simmons's family. Isabel recalls her debut when similar whispers claimed she would yield to any man's demands. She reflects on her real social life, remembering only that she had been somewhat self-absorbed. A stranger approaches, noting he has heard of her unusual endeavor. Isabel confirms she has opened a shop for children's items, including toys, illustrated books, tableware, and more. He mentions she has even developed a new material and acknowledges the Duke's investment, though the Duke pays no attention. Isabel feels calm and reassured, smiling quietly at her husband. Guests compliment Isabel's attire. She explains she chose it to match Noah's eye color. They notice the close bond between mother and child. Isabel thinks of Noah, realizing she hasn't seen him all week, and hopes he hasn't felt lonely. Nero Dias enters with a band, and Isabel recalls how the manga depicted him as cruel and disliked. The Emperor takes his seat. Duke Divine and Isabel greet him with respect. She recalls that during her debut she could not bear such scrutiny, yet now she observes calmly. The ceremony begins with a toast instead of dancing. She notes the difference from her first event, where dancing led to the evening. Drinks are raised and Nero Dias casts an unusual smile, which Isabel quietly observes. She recalls the manga's distortions of events. Memories of the Emperor's son Ananias and toxic politics cross her mind, and she considers the dangers of poison. She knows the manga never explained her husband's death, but realizes it might have been due to the very poison in use. Nero Dias enjoys the evening, drinking freely. Isabel notices her husband drinking as well. She makes an excuse that her hair got caught in her necklace and hands her glass to him. Unsure of what to do, she knows that if the manga is accurate, her husband will die 13 years from now. She realizes it is not strange that the poison may have been given before, since it only takes effect when consumed repeatedly. Knowing she cannot let him drink it, and that throwing the glass would be improper for a duchess, she acts quickly. She takes the correct glass, drinks immediately, and reassures the Duke that she has sipped it, handing him the other. Confident that all is safe and trusting the one who can neutralize the poison, she still wonders what to do with the remaining drink. Her husband notices her hesitation and tells her not to force herself. He will handle it if necessary. He reminds her that nothing served in the palace can be removed. Isabel realizes that if another drinks it, the entire plan fails. She assures the Duke she is fine and initially intended to drink it herself. She decides to chill the drink, thinking it might be easier to sip slowly. She carefully plans to keep the evidence at home. Meanwhile, the carriage waits outside ready for departure. Isabel feels intense fear but also a controlled calm. She looks forward to returning home to see Noah and shower him with love. Suddenly, she coughs violently and feels a wave of nausea. The Duke is startled. She struggles to expel the poison from her system. After a tense effort, the poison leaves her body and she collapses unconscious. All the servants at the Duke's estate work hard to keep Noah happy. They bring him toys and prepare delicious food. Noah becomes excited when he sees the toys, thinking it is time to play with his mother, but the servants try to distract him and keep his attention elsewhere. Meanwhile, Isabel feels her body grow heavy, weak, and nauseous. Confusion and fear flood her mind. The poison was supposed to take effect only after repeated use, yet her condition continues to worsen. In the manga, that poison could only be purified by a saint, and the story guaranteed she would survive until then. Now she cannot understand what went wrong. Anxiety overwhelms her as she wonders if the rules are no longer the same. She desperately wishes to stay alive, thinking only of Noah. Slowly, she begins to open her eyes. The Duke feels relief when he sees her awake. His calm, soothing voice brings her unexpected comfort. He orders the servants to fetch the physician and warns her not to strain herself, explaining that she had collapsed on the way back from the banquet. The doctor confirms that the wine she drank was indeed poisoned. She reacts with shock, but he reassures her that the remaining evidence has been secured. It has been tested, though much about it remains unknown, and it will be sent back to the divine territory for further examination by a trusted authority. She thanks him sincerely, though it feels strange that her husband believes her so fully. When he asks about her condition, she assures him that she feels fine. Her fever, dizziness, and nausea have faded for now. The atmosphere between them feels awkward, and she wonders why he is still there. He asks how she knew the wine was poisoned. Unable to admit that she learned it from the manga, she explains that she heard someone laughing and, out of curiosity, looked around. She saw Imperial Majesty staring at her with a small, malicious smile. The Duke grows angrier, realizing he should have acted sooner to prevent the incident. He then asks why she drank the wine despite knowing it was poisoned. His sharp expression unsettles her, but she understands his concern. She knows she acted because she understood both the poison and its cure. When he questions why she went so far, she answers honestly that she acted for everyone in Simmons, and most importantly, for Noah. She admits it would be disastrous if he were to die, and confesses that he is the only lifeline for both her and Noah. She then points out that she technically brought him close to death, reminding him of the magic contract in which he swore to protect her. If she had died, it could have violated that agreement. She reasons that her actions were voluntary, so it might still be acceptable, but suggests that they revise the contract terms in the future. After that, several days pass, and he urges her to focus on recovering. They are not allowed to return home yet, so they remain at the townhouse. More days pass after leaving the divine territory. The return journey takes about 5 days in a violently bumpy carriage with rock-hard seats. A heavy and awkward silence lingers between them. Despite the discomfort, she feels excited to go home, driven by her longing to see Noah. She realizes that the Duke could have gone ahead without her, yet he stayed the entire time. This strengthens her belief that he is truly bound by duty, even though it would have been easier for her if he had left earlier. At last, they arrive at the divine estate. The staff thanks them for enduring the long journey and encourages them to rest, but she refuses to wait and rushes to see Noah. The servants welcome them warmly. She apologizes for being away longer than planned and immediately asks for Noah. The moment Noah sees her, he runs toward her and throws his arms around her. She hugs him tightly, apologizing for returning late. Noah clings to her and begins to cry loudly, overwhelmed with emotion. Isabel feels a deep ache seeing him cry so distressed. She asks the caretaker, who explains that he has been like this for days, crying until exhausted and falling asleep, sometimes refusing to be held. This is the first time such behavior has appeared, leaving the adults around him feeling helpless. After hearing this, Isabel wonders whether Noah might be in physical pain. Meanwhile, Walt suggests that Noah may be afraid she will not return this time, and that fear is what is making him restless. The situation feels heavy and emotionally overwhelming. It is the first time she has been away from Noah for such a long period, and the delay caused by the poisoning has made it even longer. She apologizes to Noah, yet he continues crying without stopping. Watching this, Isabel realizes that he never throws tantrums, never acts picky about food, and is naturally gentle and obedient. She begins to question what she has truly seen all this time. This is the first moment he has clung to her with such desperation, and the first time she has seen him genuinely smile from the heart. She starts to believe he may have been suppressing his emotions all along, always praised and encouraged by others. He never expressed a selfish desire, and she wonders if he has been hiding behind a forced smile. While crying, Noah apologizes to her. Isabel realizes that all he truly wanted was love. She gently embraces him and reassures him that he has nothing to apologize for. She tells him that if he wants something or wishes to do anything, he should simply say so. She assures him that he is allowed to feel every emotion in his heart, and that no one will ever hate him for it. She makes him feel that he is the most important person to her, and that she loves him more than anyone in the world. Tears fill her eyes as she expresses regret for taking so long to return home. She reminds him that she could never abandon someone as sweet, intelligent, and precious as he is. She promises never to leave him alone and to always stay by his side, forever, unless he someday tells her he no longer needs her. She adds lightly that even if his future bride gives her jealous looks, it will not change her devotion. Hearing this, Noah finally begins to smile. After crying for a while longer, he falls asleep. Isabel notices that the moment he stops crying, he drifts immediately into a deep sleep. She feels confident that Noah will now sleep soundly until morning. The Duke arrives and reminds her to take care of her health and get some rest. She is surprised that he came all the way to Noah's door just to say that. She realizes that, for him, this moment represents a significant step forward. Even so, she does not feel calm enough to take comfort in it. She apologizes before speaking and tells him that she has observed how he manages his duties and how Simmons, and how deeply his people respect him. From what she has seen, she concludes that he is neither a worthless man who merely inherited a title, nor someone incapable of understanding others' emotions. She explains that when it comes to Noah, she believes his father must have his own reasons. She does not know what those reasons are, nor does she wish to hear them. However, she emphasizes that for a young child, a parent is their entire world. She urges him to try to understand that and to reflect on it, even just once. After hearing this, the Duke quietly returns to his room and reflects on her words with seriousness. Walt notices that he appears deeply affected as though he has received a firm and meaningful emotional rebuke. After long reflection, the Duke realizes that Isabel was right, and he fully understands the truth behind what she said. Isabel felt a wave of anxiety and regret after speaking so harshly, aware of her husband's struggles. She realized how easily her words could silence and hurt him. Fear gripped her that he might seek a divorce, and the thought of losing her place as Noah's mother unsettled her. At that moment, a woman entered, introducing herself as Miranda, Isabel's personal maid from that day onward. Comforted that her husband had arranged this, Isabel felt relief and happiness. She resolved to spend the day with Noah, determined to make up for his loneliness. Miranda mentioned that Master Duke wished to speak with her while Noah napped, and he would come to her room. Isabel was startled but quickly focused on preparing a delicious meal for Noah. They ate together, sharing laughter and joy. After the meal, they turned to play, and Noah proudly showed her a new toy and flowers his father had given him. Her heart swelled with warmth. She urged him to show her everything and felt his energy brighten her soul. She silently wished that this joy would never end. Later, a doctor arrived to share what they had discovered about the poison. He explained that it did not act immediately and was not particularly potent. Isabel felt relief, knowing divorce was not involved. The doctor warned that the poison accumulated in the body, making multiple doses deadly. Even a single dose could slowly hollow out a person from within. Yet, for a healthy individual, 1 or 2 doses would not be fatal for about 10 years. That subtle, hidden danger made the poison terrifying. Isabel realized they were fortunate to detect it in time, as Duke had already received a dose. The lack of an antidote worsened the situation. Holy water provided limited relief but could not fully cleanse the body. Isabel silently thanked fate that the poison's setup remained unchanged from the manga. This meant the saint could still purify it. The saint, only a year or 2 younger than Noah, had surely been born. Isabel doubted whether the saint could already wield her powers and realized they needed to act quickly. The doctor admitted that creating an antidote now was nearly impossible. Duke learned that Isabel had collapsed at the banquet. He worried that the poison might still be in her system. She hesitated, fearing the magical contract might be compromised if she died. The doctor reassured him, explaining that her post-banquet symptoms were likely side effects rather than the poison's direct effect, possibly due to sensitivity to medicine. Isabel recalled her previous life during chemotherapy when she endured every side effect, surprising others who had expected minimal reactions. Her symptoms had passed, though she kept holy water nearby for caution. The doctor explained that creating an antidote was difficult due to unrecognizable components. Isabel realized it was a new poison, likely plant-based, but its source remained unidentified. It matched the manga's description of the black butterfly's nectar, extracted from the roots of a rare flower in the imperial palace gardens, accessible only to nobility. The flower, called the black butterfly bloom, had its image carved on wood. She had initially dismissed it as a design idea, but now its potential reality struck her. The Duke suspected a commoner who could not afford paper might have recorded the design. Such a person would not likely know about a restricted royal garden. Isabel realized he was right. Many nobles collected rare plants as a hobby, and some even bred new varieties. Naturally, certain plants remained unseen by the public. He understood that part of the palace was accessible only to royalty. He told her to rest while he investigated further. At that moment, Noah ran to Isabel, having woken earlier than usual. His caretaker explained that he had bolted the moment he realized she was absent. Isabel apologized to Noah and to Duke, aware that he usually slept much longer. She took Noah outside to play. Suddenly, the Duke asked his age, and Noah proudly said he was 3. Isabel smiled, delighted that he could count his age. Duke left, reminding Isabel to limit their outdoor time as the mornings and evenings had grown cold. She realized that despite her fears, her husband had ensured her day with Noah remained uninterrupted. She thanked him and reflected on the burdens he had carried since Noah's birth. She asked Walt if he knew what Duke had endured. Walt confirmed, hesitating slightly. Isabel felt reassured. She did not need to probe the past, only to know that Duke had someone he could confide in. With that assurance, she returned to play joyfully with Noah. Walt approached Duke, who looked tired, and offered him a drink. Duke declined, saying he felt fine. He instructed him to continue monitoring the Emperor's inner circle, investigate recently engaged merchants, gather intelligence on the nobles, and, as a precaution, examine the palace itself.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I listened and